What is going on, everybody? My name is Rinzler here, back again for another video, and welcome back to my Song of Ice and Fire character origin series. So today we're going to be continuing the series with the last of the Lannister family, the head of House Lannister, Tywin Lannister. Tywin Lannister has been considered by many to be the most ruthless character in the A Song of Ice and Fire series, besides maybe King Joffrey. Tywin, however, was never as blatantly cruel as Joffrey, except perhaps maybe to his son Tyrion. Tywin Lannister, however, was one of the most beloved characters in the TV show, and he has a great following in the books as well. He's currently dead in the series, so I only have to make one video on Tywin, but even one video isn't enough to express how much I actually like his character, despite his faults. So without further ado, let's discuss Tywin Lannister. But before I do so, I'd like to remind all of you that this video is going to be based on the Tywin Lannister in the A Song of Ice and Fire book series and not the Game of Thrones TV show that is based on the books. So without further ado, let's talk about Tywin Lannister. Tywin Lannister was born in 242 AC to Jane Marbrand and Tytos Lannister. Tywin had four siblings, a sister named Jenna, and three brothers named Kevin, Tyget, and Jirian Lannister. Tywin's mother died within a month of Jirian's birth, which emotionally destroyed Tywin's father, Tytos. Tywin's father, Tytos, was a good man, but a very weak ruler. He gave away money to other noble houses and then never asked for it to be paid back. Tywin had to grow up watching House Lannister slowly lose all of its credibility due to his father's dumb decisions. Tytos sent his son to King's Landing as a royal cupbearer. There he befriended Steffon Baratheon and a young Aerys Targaryen II and became best friends with them. Tywin participated in the War of the Nine Penny Kings in the Stepstone Islands. This was the final Blackfyre rebellion led by King Maelys the Monstrous Blackfyre. The war was won when Barristan Selmy slew Maelys the Monstrous. During the war, Tywin knighted Prince Aerys Targaryen II himself. When Tywin returned home to Casterly Rock, he discovered the Lannisters' reputation was weaker than ever. People had started calling Tytos the Toothless Lion because of how weak he was. He had continued to grieve his wife's death by keeping mistresses. Tywin and his brothers had had enough of their father damaging their credibility and demanded Houses Swift, Tarbeck, and Rain pay back their debts. Sir Harys Swift gave up his daughter until he could pay back the loans, but the Tarbecks and Rains just laughed off Tywin's threats and did nothing. Upon further insistence, Houses Tarbeck and Rain declared rebellion against the Lannisters. Tywin, however, was hardened from the War of the Nine Penny Kings, and his men easily crushed both houses under Tywin's orders. Tywin destroyed both houses. He didn't just defeat them, he destroyed them. He killed every last Tarbeck and Rain and officially made both houses extinct. To do this, he rode to the Rains' fortress of Castamere and destroyed the entire castle. The Rains were hiding underground in tunnels, and Tywin literally buried them alive. Tywin then sent a lute player to every castle to sing about how he destroyed House Rain. This song soon became the Rains of Castamere, one of the most popular songs in all of Westeros, which became a fear tactic for the Lannisters to use when threatening their enemies. After hearing about how Tywin took care of his enemies, his friend, Aerys Targaryen II, who was now king, offered Tywin the position of Hand of the King. He quickly accepted and moved to King's Landing. Tytos died in 267 AC, and Tywin officially became Lord of Casterly Rock and Warden of the West. When he briefly returned home, Tywin discovered his father's latest mistress wearing his late mother's clothing and jewelry. He angrily ordered her stripped naked and forced her to walk around the streets of Lannisport and tell every man in the city that she was a thief and a harlot before banishing her from the Westerlands forever. Tywin married his cousin, Joanna Lannister, after the two had fallen in love during Tywin's time as a royal cupbearer when he was young. At the wedding ceremony, King Aerys Targaryen II stated how much of a shame it was that the Lord's Right had been abolished. The Lord's Right, for those of you who don't know, was a law that allowed the ruler or king of the land first pickings of the bride before her new husband. King Aerys had always crushed on Joanna. While all lords thought the king was drunkenly joking, Tywin knew that he was being serious and took this statement to heart, officially ending their long friendship. King Aerys grew more and more crazed as he aged. And became increasingly jealous of Tywin, who ruled much better than he did. The Mad King, as he would soon be called, often would come up with plans and decisions but would never fully go through with them because he would quickly lose interest in things. However, Tywin grew a reputation for getting shit done a lot better than the Mad King did himself. Despite the king's jealousy, Tywin continued to rule as Hand of the King for 20 years straight, and Westeros was very peaceful because of him. Tensions between Tywin and Aerys only continued, however, when he refused to marry his son, Prince Rhaegar, to Tywin's daughter, Cersei. When Tywin's son, Jaime, was named to the Kingsguard, he was furious as he'd been robbed of his heir. In actuality, this was actually a plan by Cersei and Jaime so that they could continue having their secret incestuous relationship, but Tywin thought that the Mad King had done this purposely to rob him of his heir, so he promptly quit as Hand of the King and took Cersei back with him to Casterly Rock. Tywin's wife Joanna died, giving birth to Tywin's second son, Tyrion. Tywin never ever laughed or smiled again after his wife's death. Tywin blamed Tyrion for Joanna's death and called him a beast for all of his life. He treated him like a monster and was especially cruel to him throughout his entire life. When Tyrion performed cartwheels down the stairs when he was young, he told Tyrion he already looked like a fool and shouldn't act like one too. When Tyrion asked for a pet dragon, Tywin maliciously told him that they were all extinct, which made him cry himself to sleep. When Tyrion secretly married a crofter's daughter named Tysha, Tywin dissolved the marriage and forced Jaime to lie to Tyrion and tell him that Tysha was a prostitute that he'd hired. He then had Tysha raped by every member of his household, including Tyrion himself, and then banished her from the Westerlands. Tywin later forced Tyrion to be in charge of the drains and cisterns of Casterly Rock. Tywin really hated Tyrion in every possible way imaginable, and really did consider him a monster considering how shitty he treated him. During Robert's rebellion, Tywin didn't officially pick sides until King Robert killed Prince Rhaegar Targaryen during the Battle of the Trident. Tywin rode to King's Landing soon afterwards and tricked the Mad King into opening his gates for them under the lie that they were there to help them fight against King Robert. Tywin's men then sacked the city, and Tywin himself ordered Sir Omri Lorch and the Mountain That Rides, Sir Gregor Clegane, to kill Rhaegar's widow, Elia Martell, and their two children, Rhaenys and Aegon Targaryen VI. The Mad King was soon after killed by Jaime, who broke his oaths and was forever after known as the Kingslayer. Tywin then married Cersei to King Robert. Tywin helped put down the Greyjoy Rebellion many years later and regularly lent money to the crown because King Robert would keep spending it willy-nilly. When Tyrion is kidnapped by Catelyn Stark in 298 AC, Tywin attacks the Riverlands. Tywin doesn't care about Tyrion's well-being in particular, but he does care about his family's reputation and knows that as long as Tyrion is held captive, his family will be seen as weak for not being able to get him back. Tyrion frees himself, however, after going through a trial by combat. Tyrion is able to free himself, and upon arriving at Tywin's camp along with the Mountain clans, Tywin forces Tyrion to fight in battle. King Robb Stark kidnaps Jaime while Tywin is busy in battle. Tywin's grandson, Joffrey, becomes king after Robert's unexpected death during a boar hunt, and he names Tywin as his hand. Tywin, however, sends Tyrion to act as Hand of the King until he can return from war. Tywin then goes to Harrenhal after failing to conquer Riverrun in order to plan his next actions. Tywin's men are regularly attacked by the Brotherhood Without Banners, and Tywin's unable to put an end to them since he can't find their base. Tywin leaves after King Renly Baratheon is unexpectedly assassinated, and goes to the Reach where he convinces House Tyrell to aid the Lannisters against King Stannis Baratheon. Tywin and the Tyrells show up during the Battle of the Blackwater just in time to save the Lannister forces, and King Joffrey's claim to the throne is secure. Stannis then convinces the Freys. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I meant to say Tywin then convinces the Freys and the Boltons to betray and kill Robb Stark and his mother Catelyn during the Red Wedding. When Balon Greyjoy falls off a bridge to his death, the War of the Five Kings officially comes to a close. Tywin then takes over as Hand of the King and demotes Tyrion to Master of Coin. He then forces Cersei off of the small council and begins regularly shooting down King Joffrey's cruel and awful ideas. When Tywin learns that Olenna Tyrell plans to marry Sansa Stark off to her grandson Willis to claim the North, Tywin Stark Tywin swiftly marries Tyrion and Sansa to each other so that Tyrion can become Warden of the North. He also disassembles Eddard Stark's Valyrian steel sword, Ice, and makes two new swords. He gives the first sword to Joffrey, who calls it Widow's Wail, as a wedding present, and attempts to give the second sword to Jaime, but since he's lost his sword hand, Jaime feels insulted by the offer and instead gives it to Brienne of Tarth, who names it Oathkeeper. Tywin then offers uh, to remove Jaime from the Kingsguard and make him the new Lord of Casterly Rock, but Jaime, who's now become a lot more honorable during his time away, refuses Tywin's gracious offer, and so Tywin decides to disown him from House Lannister. After King Joffrey is poisoned at his own wedding feast, Cersei accuses Tyrion of being the culprit. Tywin presides over Tyrion's trial by word as a judge. Tyrion sleeps with Tyrion's lover Shae to turn her against him in court, which works. When Tyrion's trial by combat also fails, he's sentenced to execution. Jaime and Varys, however, free Tyrion. Jaime tells Tyrion the truth about Tysha, so Tyrion uses a secret ladder to enter the Tower of the Hand, where he strangles Shae to death with her own necklace and then shoots his father in the chest with a crossbow, killing him. Some battles are won with swords and spears, others with quills and ravens. When your enemies defy you, you must serve them fire and steel. When they go to their knees, however, you must help them back to their feet, elsewise no man will ever bend the knee to you. These are words spoken by Tywin Lannister. Tywin might have been a bit of an asshole at times, but he was a very practical man. He knew how to play the Game of Thrones, and better yet, he knew how to win. He knew how to manipulate people to do what he wanted. He knew how to gain control, both subtly and abruptly. He knew how to win in battle, and he knew how to take care of things that needed to be done. Tywin Lannister, simply put, was one of the most useful people in the Seven Kingdoms. He was also one of the most feared people in any book ever. People talk about Tywin in hushed tones as though they're worried he's going to do something to them. In my opinion, he could be comparable to Voldemort in the Song of Ice and Fire book series, because people talk about Tywin like he's going to show up and kill them any minute, even if he's very far away. Tywin's reputation really does speak for itself. The only problem that Tywin ever did in his life was lose his greatest potential ally in his son Tyrion. Tyrion really was the only person on Tywin's level when it came to intelligence, and if he just embraced Tyrion as his heir after Jaime joined the Kingsguard, then Tywin's wish of having a strong legacy in House Lannister could have been secure. The house could have been secure for several more generations if Tywin had just embraced Tyrion as his heir. Instead, he alienated Tyrion and made his life a living hell, and lost his greatest potential ally in the process. Despite this, Tywin did enough in his life that it's fair to say that he could be considered either an evil tyrant or an epic war hero. He managed to secure House Lannister's legacy regardless of what his children do or don't do, and he should be regarded with both respect and hatred. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, remember to give this video a thumbs up. Share this video with all your friends on all your various social media accounts. Make sure to comment down below on what I did and didn't do so good. And I will see all dudes and chicks in the next video.